And that takes us to the third segment on top
Prince,
of that.
Sign of the
Prince.
Times.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Comes in at number 22 in the 1980s on Best Ever Albums, number 3 in 1987, number 186 of all time. It's Prince's second highest rated album on Best Ever Albums behind Purple Rain, of course. This is the album tonight, fellas, that did make Rolling Stone's list. It coming in at number 45. So fairly highly regarded there. And Prince is the number 42 ranked artist in Best Ever Albums.
So the Rolling Stone had this as the 45th greatest album ever
45. You got it. Yep.
Okay. This was a hit and miss for. First of all, a Prince album does not need to be this long. I'm going to start by saying that. Like, it was a really, really long album at times. Not bad, but just.
Yeah.
It felt very overstuffed and a little bit indulgent at times. I often say about double albums, even ones I like, that it could be a little bit less. There's exceptions to that rule, but this one really stood out as, boy, this is a 45-minute album, is a superior album than, like, what was the final piece of this. I find Prince to be extremely funny because there's virtuoso moments and there's stuff where there's mainstream pop, and then like I kind of never Prince is hard for me lyrically and tone wise to get an idea where he's coming from, and like when he's being serious and when he's just playing fantasy a little bit. Songs like Housequake are just such an interesting thing because I still don't quite. Is it like a house party? Is that what a housequake is? Like,
yes, I think so.
It's just the way that he starts like, shut up already, damn, and then it's like housequake, and it's almost like parody at times a little bit. Like I can't really describe it. Like Prince's sex songs are like astonishingly literal at times, and also at times like so over the top horny.
Like
that
if I
it's
was
like,
your girlfriend.
yeah, like if I was your girl. Like there's one thing
Or
like I'll give you a bath. You know what I mean? It's like he goes from like I'm gonna basically raw dog you to like I love you so much I'll give you a bath and take care of you, and then like it's just so funny because I'm just like the angle that he's coming from, the carnally, you know what I mean? Is just Prince likes sex more than I like anything. Like I can't think of anything that I like at that level. Yeah. And like God bless, I'd love one day just to have sex like Prince's lyrics are. You know what I mean? I feel like it's something to aspire to. You know what I mean? But like it's just never gonna happen. So like I'm just like I just have to kind of live vicariously through him to be like, okay, this is this is the thing. So with that being said, it's got all the hallmarks, right, of like a Prince album. It's funky at times. It's got some really beautiful guitar work at times. It's got a lot of variation. Like a lot of Prince albums we've done, it's got a couple songs that I don't connect with at all, and are there. So I'm curious to just I'll revisit songs along the way. A couple that I really liked. I liked the song "It," which the "It" is exactly what you'd expect it to be along the way. "Play in the Sunshine" was a song that I liked quite a bit. "Starfish and Coffee," another song that is very interesting lyrically. It's kind of like a slice of life of him going to school and meeting these people and going to breakfast. Right? It's almost like a Kink song lyrically, kind of. It's like, I ordered butterscotch clouds and tangerines and a side order of ham, and it was a beautiful song to listen to, but I wasn't quite sure lyrically how I would connect to it. So I've got other thoughts. I don't like this version of Prince as much as I like the Dirty Mind version of Prince, or maybe the 1999 version of Prince when he was just focused on making funky radio-friendly sounds. I appreciate the experimental nature of this, but it did at times perilously straddle the line of experimental and overindulgent, I would say. So I would say slight thumbs up for me on this one, but 45 of all time.
Higher than
nah.
wow.
Higher than
Purple
what?
Rain? Higher than
No,
Purple Rain?
Purple Rain's like 8.
Oh, okay.
Or
I
9
would
or
say
something.
that the first 3 albums we covered, Dirty Mind, 1999, Purple Rain, I liked considerably more than this. I would say I did probably like this one. I don't know if I even like this one as much as Around the World, to be honest. I think I might have liked that one even a little bit more. But definitely not a thumbs down, just a mixed bag for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm higher on this one than you, John. I actually don't mind the self-indulgence. To me, it's like that's Prince. You know, this is
Prince.
this is a very Prince album. You know, from the variety to the overt sexual, you know, lyrics to just the goofiness. You know, he's mixing. He's got a. It is a long album. I will say that. Does it need to be this long? Probably not. You could probably make some cuts here and there, but I don't know. I think that most of the songs, to one extent or another, I did like. You know, because he's the funk stuff, like a song that I never, and first, most of these songs I did not know. Housequake, I'd never heard of that before, and that was like right off the bat. I was like, holy crap, that is, and he's got this weird effect that he's doing with his voice. It's like this higher kind of nasal. I don't know if it's nasal or whatever, but he sounds a little different.
Did you guys read about the context of this album?
Of the album?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Oh, fill us in, Josh. Yeah. But I think it starts off very strong. Like, I love the way, you know, Sign of the Times is a cool opening track. I like the little synth kind of, you know, and it's probably maybe a little bit long, but I like that enough to be like okay with the fact that it's 5 minutes. I agree, John. Play in the Sunshine's a great song. Housequake, I think the first 3 open up pretty strongly. You know, Ballad of Dorothy Parker, that's okay. It's kind of, they slow it down a little bit, but picking it up with It and Starfish and Coffee, you know, like those. And then as it progresses, you know, You Got the Look, I've really liked. I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man. I mean, that's a really great upbeat tune. The Cross was really interesting. I thought that's almost kind of like, that was like a little bit of a grunge, like alternative rock kind of play, which was it's a different sound for Prince. You know, usually you're getting the funk upbeat stuff with the ballad, you know, almost gospel like type songs that he has. So you know, and even though like I'm not as into the ballads and the slower songs, I still enjoyed them here. You know, I'm finding that I'm, you know, becoming more familiar with that type of sound and just, you know, listening to it more and enjoying it more overall. It's still not my favorite, but I didn't really dislike any song on here, and for some reason it was easier for me to get through than the Cure album in a weird way. Not because I think it's better. I think I probably overall connected more with the Cure album. It's just that I don't know. I kind of just screwed up the way I was listening to that. But this actually, you know, as I listened to it and would pick it up here and there, I'm like, I liked all this stuff. So it's certainly not as, you know, I wouldn't put it up there with Purple Rain or whatever, or maybe even Dirty Mind. But I like this better than 1999. 1999 that's where there was like a period of like 3 or 4 songs where they were all like 9, 8, 9, 11 minutes or whatever. And I thought that definitely wore on me. And I never really felt that here. I never really felt like any song outlived its welcome or outstayed its welcome. And, you know, it's going to be a beautiful night, maybe a little bit, but that was still just it's a fun record for the most part. You know, it's upbeat, it's very danceable. And, I love Prince's voice. I think he's got a really unique voice, and he's doing all kinds of stuff with it. It's going all over the place. And for an album that's very, you know, eclectic and with all the variety here, I think it kind of flows pretty well together. So I'm thumbs up on this. Yeah,
I'm very curious now to watch Sign of the Times, which I plan to do in the next week or so.
What do you mean watch it?
There's a movie. There's a movie called Sign of the Times that he made.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
That is almost exactly the same length as the album. So it is
a companion piece.
Yes,
is that what they used to call it? Yeah.
Is it just one long music video?
I don't know. It's I think it's gonna be, you know, like Purple Rain to some extent. We'll see. It was to you know, he did it to promote kind of the album because it wasn't selling as well as they hoped. So I will let you know what what it goes.
He
Maybe
did
it
the
is just a
movie after-
concert film. We'll see.
He did the movie after the album because the album wasn't selling well.
Correct. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And so yeah, that the album and the material on the album has made me curious as to what
did he do it because
experience
Michael Jackson did Moonwalker around this time? Was it to keep up, or
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know about that aspect. I will report back on Josh's movie corner, so you can get more context there. But I enjoyed this album. I think it's Prince is always. I always enjoy Prince the most when he's like ridiculous, and I feel like that's, I don't know, 75% of the time.
He's definitely ridiculous.
Yeah.
John, you're not wrong, John. It's self-indulgent and ridiculous at times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like my Prince like funky and like upbeat, and that is a majority of this album as well. So, a song like Housequake I can totally get behind. Now, the context for this album that I wanted to point out is that it's material from that he had written. As you guys know, he was very prolific as a writer, and these are all songs that were supposed to be songs for 3 other albums that were then aborted, that he did not end up putting together. So this is also following the dissolution of the Revolution, so they are not on this album as well. The one of the albums was called Dream Factory. Another was called Camille, which is where he writes as a female, which is why those songs are in a higher voice.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs, that he's using female pronouns too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then there was a triple album that he was going to do called Crystal Ball that didn't happen. So he took songs from those and compromised with the studio and made this double album. So that's why those songs, that alter ego that he has, Camille, is why he sings higher on some of those songs. So I knowing that, because I kind of read that while I was listening, I can feel like the not slapdash nature of it, but how it's cobbled together from kind of different things. It doesn't feel as cohesive as maybe some of the other albums did to me, but I may be skewed by kind of knowing the context. But he still kind of genre hops around in the album. There's a lot of rock. I got some psychedelia in the Cross mat from that song, and then I really kind of like the R&B that he incorporates, and it's always like I can't help but laugh whenever he is like talking about sex and If I Was Your Girlfriend is written from a female perspective about sex.
It's about having
hilarious.
sex with Prince.
Yeah.
Is what I thought it was a song about Prince writing about having sex with himself, was how I took that song.
Yeah, it's like the most, I don't know, not Freudian, but it's some sort of weird therapeutic exercise where you're writing about yourself from another perspective. But
yes, what would it be like to do me?
Yeah, exactly. I was surprised also how I saw that, it's either this album or Purple Rain that people really kind of cite as their favorite Prince album often. And I would side with Purple Rain as kind of being my favorite, at least from what we've heard. But I think this album showcases kind of his range and ability to write and produce in any genre. It seemed like he did almost all of the production and instruments himself. He used the drum machine a lot on almost every track. It seemed like that was kind of I don't know for sure, but since the Revolution weren't there, I think he just kind of put that in place, or he was just kind of fascinated with the drum machine. And so I can hear that a lot. And the synth is in full effect here throughout the album as well. So is it, I agree with you too, John. I think it's a little long at times, and I'm not as high on kind of the slower ballads, but that's generally true for most bands, is I don't respond to the ballads as much. But as far as, the pop and the funk and the soul that's on here, I think it's top notch. And that makes it worth a listen for me.
Well, he does a Quiet Storm R&B song in Slow Love too, which
Yeah.
is, I believe my notes describe that song as semen soaked was how I described that song. So not to be too graphic, but yes, that song just sounds like it's titled. So yes, it's that's interesting context though, Josh, because I did feel that it seemed like Prince was like, here's a variety grab bag of stuff.
Yep.
And it makes sense that it's and also it's not like here's the 6 songs that are this concept and here's the 6 that are this. They're spread all over the place. So I couldn't quite get a vibe of what the album was going for. Like, you know, in the way that like Purple Rain was designed to make him a star and Dirty Mind was designed to sort of introduce him, and 1999 was designed to be a more mature version of what he was doing, you know, more fully fledged musical version of it. This one, I just felt like this is where he was just becoming the beginning of the guy who became a symbol, you know?
Yes.
Like, I feel like this is where it started to turn a little bit to that version of Prince. So, yeah.
And we're 2 years from the Batman soundtrack also, so I'm excited to
Bat Dance.
exactly.
Which Housequake sort of gives you an idea of where that's going. Yes. When I heard that
Housequake.
song, I was like, this sounds like the Bat Dance song.
Housequake,
So, yeah.
actually, the beginning of that sounds like Hollaback Girl.
Oh yes, it's
Yeah,
the same
right?
drum.
Yep.
It's the same drum beat.
She had to ape that from him.
Yeah, which the Neptunes I think did the beat for
Okay.
that song. So I'll fact check that, but I think so.
Yeah, there's definitely an homage there for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, good stuff. I mean, it's still upper tier Prince
Yeah.
to me, but there's always, you know, sometimes the tongue in cheekness of him or his kind of keeps me at a remove too. I don't have like an emotional response to Prince in the way that I do for some other bands or artists that I really like. I'm just often just very amused by him more than anything.
No, he's kind of ridiculous in like so many different ways, but it's he just owns it. You know, like there's like this confidence and this bravado and this. It's just he's not really even playing a character. Really, he's just like. It's all him, and it is funny, and it's over the top and ridiculous, but I don't care if his lyrics are that, like, insanely ridiculous or whatever, or sexual. It's just, if the music is just there, and his voice is great, and, he didn't really even, like, I don't know how much guitar, there's not a ton of guitar work on here, but I know that he's a great guitar player, too, but, yeah, it's a fun record.
He doesn't, for me and my taste, rise to the level of like a Michael Jackson or a Madonna, and I don't know why, but even there's some things, Raspberry Beret, Little Red Corvette, stuff that gets there for me, but I don't know. It just there's something that doesn't quite resonate at that level, and I mean, and when you look at sales, I think there's others that are like me. You know what I mean? Where it's like. They'd buy the Michael Jackson or the Madonna album, but they might not buy the Prince album. And I don't know how to describe. And I don't think it's like, oh, you know, this is because Madonna was plenty sexual herself overtly, you know, and so that's not the barrier, I don't think.
They were a little bit more. I mean, they weren't as eclectic in their stylings. They were more. I would say they were more straight ahead pop. Where Prince kind of. I mean, Prince certainly has plenty of pop, but like Prince kind of delved in other areas and. Got a little bit more experimental, and he's so prolific. I mean, the guy wrote a freaking ton of music, and so
it's funny because some of the songs he was writing during this period were songs I like. But like he wrote like Manic Monday during this time, which is a song that like I probably like more than most of the songs on this album as a song. And that's why I'm like, Jesus, he just had that just flying around. Right? Like, let's give it to you. You know, Susanna Hoffs, because you're kind of awesome, which she is, in fairness. But, like, yeah, it just is amazing to think he just pawned that off. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's almost like he I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but he's not as maybe a perfectionist in the way that maybe Michael Jackson was or the people around him were. I don't know. It just seems like he's so willing to kind of write so much and like kind of willing to try anything that
he's like Bruce Springsteen a little bit in his prolificness of writing and just throwing off tracks to different people. That's, I mean, maybe Bruce stays a little bit more in his lane compared to Prince, who certainly doesn't, for sure. But yeah, they're both just writing constantly. So
right. He's not one of these artists that took like 5 years to release an album. He was putting out albums all the time.
Part of Michael Jackson's thing was also like the star power of just like his concerts and the shows and whatever. And then like the fact that he did starve his audience for new material. And then when the new album came out, it was just like, it went nut. People went like every time he released an album, even Dangerous, that when he had a Black or White, it was like this nationally televised music video, that was like that everybody watched because they hadn't had a Michael Jackson album in like 5 years or whatever. So, whereas Prince has had probably like 15 albums in 5 years or something ridiculous like that,
Mm-hmm.
Well, until he got in the fight with his record company, and then they came less often.
Yeah. Right, but around this time he was. Yeah, very. And then when he died, they had like, he's basically got enough material here for like 20 more albums or something like that,
like so Tupac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So, okay. Well, halfway home, guys.
Prince, are we not covering Prince again? That might have been the last Prince album.
I don't know if we are covering Prince again, actually.
I don't.
Not in the
we're not doing Parade. That's the 5th ranked album. Mm-hmm. On Best Ever Albums, so that's the highest rated album that we're not covering.
Is it like Most Beautiful Girl in the World? Isn't that a 90s album? I remember that song.
I don't know if that's the name.
Then there's the album that's just the symbol, right? That's just the new symbol he was.
Yeah. No new Power Generation stuff, so.
Nope.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go, Prince.
Putting a bow on Prince, as crazy as it is.
Wow.